What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another Madden 17 online game. Today, the Carolina Panthers are on deck for the 32-team preview series for the upcoming NFL season. The Panthers just made news for firing their GM in mid-July, which is very unordinary in the NFL. This is not the time to be firing your GM. Very weird time. Unknown, really, the timing of it. Why they want to fire David Gettleman, but he's out the door. And I'm assuming part of the reason why is because the Panthers didn't make the playoffs last year despite the really young nucleus that they have. And even despite that, when Gettleman's been in office, the Panthers have been one of the best front offices in the NFL as far as drafting players. So it's really weird that they let go of their GM. I really won't get too into it. I don't really understand the reason why for it. But we'll dissect the Panthers roster this season and look at what happened last year. Because last year, they had mile-high expectations. They had just made the Super Bowl. They have a young nucleus of players, and they were poised to make another push. But they didn't even make... Not only did they not make the playoffs, they didn't really come close to making the playoffs. They had a really bad start to the season, and then they kind of just stumbled towards the finish line and finished off their season okay. And that got them a pretty good draft pick. And with that draft pick, they took Christian McCaffrey in the first round. And that could be a make or break pick for them, seeing how it goes. These first couple of picks could be make or break for the Carolina Panthers, depending on how things play out. There's a number of reasons why the Panthers didn't do as good as they did during the Super Bowl run. They let go of Josh Norman in the middle of the offseason randomly, just like how they fired their GM randomly. That might be part of the reason why Gettleman's gone and the way he handled the Norman situation. Kuechly had the concussion problem, so he missed a lot of last year, especially the second half of the year. The offensive line, that was a rough situation. They kind of patchworked the offensive line, during the Super Bowl run. They made it work, but last season, the tackle situation was an absolute debacle, and as a result, not much time to throw the football. Cam got hit a lot, got sacked a lot. Cam rushed for, I believe, the least amount of yards he's ever rushed in his career, so, part of that might be just Cam getting a little bit older, but still, Cam was getting pretty beat up last year, and then, the main problem for the Panthers is they didn't run the football effectively last year. When you think about the Panthers' offense, it's been a smash-mouth football kind of offense for years now. Whether it's Jonathan Stewart running the ball, or D'Angelo Williams before him, or whoever else they throw in the middle, like Mike Tolbert, will be getting the football. The Panthers have always been a run-first kind of team, and they tried to maintain that identity last season, but they just didn't do a good job of it. They didn't have the right pieces to run the football. And, Stewart, as usual, didn't play all 16 games. That's been the problem with him. And part of the reason why McCaffrey got drafted was the fact that Stewart's up there in age. So, if the Panthers are going to turn it around, they need to find some semblance of a running game because the passing game might not be there this season. You got Greg Olsen, and that's really good. He's one of the best tight ends last year. Last couple of years at least. They got a steal for him. Ever since he left Chicago, Greg Olsen's been a star in Carolina. Kelvin Benjamin came back healthy this year, and last year, and he played pretty good. But besides those two, it's a lot of question marks on who's catching the football. They drafted Curtis Samuel in the second round last year, and they're hoping that he provides something. But other than that, it's a lot of question marks in that wide receiving core, and even like backup tight ends behind Greg Olsen. Even Curtis Samuel himself is a huge question mark. Is he actually going to produce? Who knows? Is he going to do it this year? Who knows? But that's a troubling sign for the Panthers that their wide receiving core is still, very questionable. And then their defense, there's no Josh Norman. They drafted a couple of cornerbacks. They drafted Bradbury. Bradbury wasn't too bad last year. Then even Worley. They drafted two cornerbacks last year to try to combine to replace Josh Norman. It didn't work last year, all right? It didn't really work. Those guys got torched a lot. The infamous performance for the Carolina Panthers last year, their secondary was getting torched by Julio Jones for 300 yards. And that's all you need to know about the situation that was going on there. They have decent pieces. It's just at that cornerback spot, they let go of their superstar, kind of shut down on one side of the field corner, and Josh Norman. And, they would have not re-signed Josh Norman this upcoming season, but they could have at least kept him for last season. There was really no reason to cut him. They already had him on the franchise tag, and they were just like, nah, we don't want you. I don't know why they did it, but they did it. Nonetheless, though, the Panthers defense still pretty good. Like I mentioned, the cornerback position, it has some upside to it. It still got Kurt Coleman in the secondary. Coleman was a ball hawk a couple of seasons ago. Their front seven is still easily one of the best in the NFL. Kuechly's still there. Shaq Thompson, young kid, he's going to be good for the Panthers for a number of years. He was almost a safety, and then they converted him to a linebacker, and he's been really good. Thomas Davis, he's getting up there in age, so you don't know how many years left Thomas Davis will be giving you, but as long as Thomas Davis is there, he's a solid contributor. He's not what he once was, but he's still Thomas Davis. He's still got the high IQ and all that. He'll still be, around the field trying to make plays. And then their defensive line, they got such an embarrassment of depth in that defensive line that they traded away Coney Ely just because they figured, yeah, we're probably not going to re-sign this guy. Let's just get rid of Coney Ely. Why not? It's okay though, because we got K'Wan Short, we got Star Louis, we got Mario Addison, we got Charles Johnson, who's still playing well, been in Carolina for God knows how many years. And they brought back a couple of familiar faces, I should say, for the Panthers. They brought back Captain Wonderland, longtime Carolina Panther. He's suddenly back for this season, even though he's up there. And I mean, they're old guys. They got, but still, Captain Wonderland. Then Julius Peppers is back. Why not bring if Julius Peppers wants to come back? Might as well bring him back as a situational pass rusher. Julius Peppers can definitely still make noise in this league. He won't have as much of a load to carry as he did for Green Bay the past couple of seasons, but I mean, we've seen Dwight Freeney still play well in the NFL. We've still seen James Harrison play pretty well. These elite guys can still put moves on the offensive linemen, so Julius Peppers should still be able to provide something. But yeah, the Carolina Panthers, they look pretty good. And then the main thing about the Panthers, the reason why they always are at least a decent to good team is because they always draft really well. If you look, that's why I'm really weird. That's why I'm really perplexed on why David Gettleman got fired. When you look at the past couple of drafts they had, it's just you go down the line, the amount of players that they've gotten that are really good: Luke Kuechly, Josh Norman, Cam, K'Wan Short, a lot of Louis, Kelvin Benjamin, Trey Turner, Trey Boston, Coney Ely. I mean, the 2014 home run, 2014 draft, they absolutely hit a home run on pretty much every pick. The 15 draft, they got Shaq Lawson in the first round, didn't get much afterwards. And then, last year's draft was mainly the cornerback draft. They also drafted Vernon Butler in the first round, who was part of that defensive line. Didn't even get to see much playing time because there were so many guys on that defensive line. But he could be a big contributor for that team for upcoming years. Now, this year's draft, they went offensive lineman a lot early on. They got Christian McCaffrey, first round. He could be a potential game changer. I'm not a big fan of the pick, but we'll see. I don't know NCAA prospects. I don't know college prospects and how they're supposed to play. I just watch them once they come in the NFL. Curtis Samuel would be really nice if he contributes, because otherwise there's really no one besides Kelvin Benjamin at the wide receiver spot. They drafted Taylor Moton. I apologize. He's from West Michigan if I got his name wrong. He potentially could start in that offensive line this year. We'll see how it works out. Their tackle positions are still TBD, and he might be able to play. But the Panthers, they drafted really well, and that's what makes them, a good team. Then that's why, they got all these young guys. That's why they should be good once again this upcoming season. I don't see any scenario that they finish 6-10 or worse again this year, as long as Luke Kuechly is healthy. If Luke Kuechly is not healthy, then that's the game changer for the Panthers defense, because he's Luke freaking Kuechly, all right? But the Panthers, last year they had the number one division winner schedule, I should say. They had, to play all the other division winners. This year, they don't have that schedule. I think they finished last in their division, so they have a pretty easy schedule. You look at their schedule, especially at the beginning of the season, there's a chance for the Panthers to really pick it up and go on a run, which is why I think the Panthers can at least finish 8-8 this year. I would set that as, I would set a minimum for the Panthers. They should be able to do pretty good this year. I mean, they obviously might underperform, but I think the Panthers should at least be aiming for 8-8. If not, just go straight for making the playoffs. So, my Panthers prediction, I would say somewhere between 8-8 and 10-6 and fighting for a playoff positioning. I think the Panthers are that talented of a team. They can rely on that defense enough. And as long as they can figure out that running game, I think the Panthers have what it takes. I'm a little bit scared of whether they can figure it out or not, because last year, like I said, they were really inconsistent running the football. It's really all to how that McCaffrey, Jonathan Stewart backfield performs, and we'll see if Cam can keep up his thing and find somebody to throw the football to. But I don't know. I think the Panthers might just miss the playoffs if you ask me. But I think they're around that 8-8, 10-6 area. I think they're more of a, 8-8, 9-17, not necessarily the 10-6. But we'll see if they can get over that hump. Leave a like in the video if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe for more Carolina Panthers fans. Let me know how you're feeling this season. There's a lot of optimism for the Panthers. Like I said, a lot of young talent, a lot of reasons why they should be able to figure it out, as hopefully they turn the ball over less, because they were really bad with turnovers last year, shot themselves in the foot just like the Arizona Cardinals. So hopefully they figure it out, man.